So welcome to episode 213 of Geekamole. I'm your host, Drew. Above me is our perennial co-host and guest host, Voof. And above him is the mouse.
And I just want to say that Microsoft can go and die in a fire. The reason we're 16 minutes late to this podcast is because while we were convening during the sound check, I decided to mute the audio for 1 second, by hitting a little mute button, so I could read something and get up to date. Well, when it came time to unmute, apparently Windows 10 decided that the best way to mute my audio was to in fact kill every single audio driver.
Isn't that the way that the audio works?
Without resurrecting it. So I was hitting unmute, I was raising the volume, there was nothing. So I had to restart, which of course in this particular instance took about 6 to 7 minutes. And then when it restarted, the audio drivers were gone, so I had to restart it again. At which point I said, fuck it, and I just grabbed my Surface Pro 3, which is what I'm using right now, so you can look at me, and because the drivers there work. And Windows can go die in a fire, as I repeatedly have said.
Hopefully, since the last time we tried this with his tablet, it was a 2-hour show. Being a 1-hour show, it won't kill his tablet, so...
I have it plugged in, so...
We'll find out. So, let's go ahead and jump into the shindig and see how fast we can get through it. First up, Mouse.
So, guess what? As of February 6th of this year, Street Fighter II has turned 25 years old. This is the game that changed the face of fighting games forever, and you were probably a teenager when this came out. How old do you feel now?
Older than you know.
Not a teenager now.
Well, our average viewer, of which there are 3, were teenagers when Street Fighter II came out. So there.
I think there's more than just 3.
I know, but, don't ruin my humor, for crying out loud. Also, I forgot to mention, Cece is not here today because she is singing right now at a very prestigious voice competition, and I wish her the best, and you people give her your positive vibes so she wins and walks out of there like a fucking boss.
And there are no dead rabbits involved.
And that hopefully there will be no dead rabbits involved, although it is opera, so who knows, right?
And who knows what dark rituals you all perform in order to turn your wishes to her.
I could
dead rabbits.
I could tell stories, but then I would probably get sued. In any case, moving on to our next game topic, we have heard, well, if most of you have heard of who Tim Schafer is. If you don't, you have been living under a rock, or you were a fetus in the past 2 years. Tim Schafer is known, of course, for many of his games, including the most recent Broken Age, which kind of was broken but now isn't anymore, thank goodness. But also Psychonauts, which is considered to be one of the hidden gems of the last great gasp of adventure games, allegedly, of the late 90s, early 2000s. Psychonauts was a really cool game, but up until recently, there was no word of Schafer actually wanting to resurrect the thing. That was until Schafer actually put up a project up on Fig for crowdfunding for Psychonauts 2. Now, this project was very successful, obviously, as it would be, because it is Tim Schafer, and it reached $3.3 million in nearly a month. But unfortunately, because of regulations with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, they've only gotten about $1.8 million in funds. They're still waiting to go through the rest of the clarifying steps for their investors to be certified before they can have access to the rest of the moolah. So they say it will take probably between 4 to 6 weeks, but we'll see. This is the government after all. Anything can happen.
And that's the joy when you're dealing with something like, 3.3 some, million.
Well, the reason it's happening like this is because they decided to use Fig, which uses a different model than most, which we discussed in our first season.
Yeah.
So the
it's when you're dealing with actual full-on investors as opposed to people just sending in money for the swag for all intents and purposes.
Pretty much. It's different from here, shut up and take my money. It is here, take my money and you better fucking use it well. And give me some returns.
Give it back to me, yeah.
Yeah, and give me some returns. Which, of course, has, it's not your average crowdfunding format.
Invest versus donate.
Yes.
Yes.
Invest versus donate.
This is not the first time that we have seen successful projects in Fig, but we have also seen projects fail miserably. Like the creator of Scribblenauts had a project up there and it failed to reach its goal. So good. Congratulations to Tim Schafer.
But also conversely, we are less likely to see the shall we say disasters that we've seen come out of Kickstarter.
Yes, this kind of model kind of does hold the developers' feet to the fire a little bit more. There's a lot more to be responsible for, so we'll see.
And speaking of said Kickstarter disasters, we will speak on one later.
Yes, we will. One for which no, there's two disasters we're going to speak of later.
Well, we got a couple, so shall we move on?
Let us move on.
Next up.
Oh, it's me, isn't it? Yes.
Still you.
So, fair disclosure, I actually kickstart back this project as well, Night in the Woods. This is a very interesting, very quirky game that I saw their proposed demo for, and I just fell in love with it. It takes place in this fictitious town called Possum Springs, and it features all anthropomorphic characters, but the art style is more like little paper cutout style. Not really, but it's very, very stylized.
It's a bit South Parky.
It is a bit South Parky, but a little bit more, but prettier, if you know what I mean.
It's very stylized.
It deals with the protagonist is the cat May, and she's returning to her hometown. But she finds that her friends, who were her former friends, have changed and moved on without her. So it deals with a lot of fitting back in, finding a different perspective to the place that you grew up in. It also has some platforming elements. And I have been worried about this project after I kickstarted it because there was a time when updates... Shut up. When updates... Now the sound comes back. So whatever. My laptop.
Only 8 minutes late.
Yeah. In any case,
23, depending on your perspective.
It's 23. I kickstarted it, and for a while there were no updates, but a little while ago the updates started coming faster and faster, and apparently it was because they hit the middle bit where stuff only improves slightly, or at least the stuff that you can show to your backers only improves slightly, whereas a lot of the amount that goes underneath the surface is what is improving vastly. But people don't like looking at code and things like that. But we now have a release date, and it is going to be in the fall, which is very fitting because the game, it takes place in the fall as well. It's very atmospheric from what we've seen, and I can't wait for it to come out.
All right, next up. This is not a game I would normally cover, but because I don't play it, quite honestly. This is probably when I would defer it over to Cece. This is more in her field of reporting. But League of Legends, apparently about 4 years ago, Riot Games introduced a new mode called Dominion. And the idea was to bring in something fresh to the game and allow, quick power-ups and leveling up and all that stuff. At this point, 4 years later, less than 0.5% of the player base actually plays it. So Riot is elected to retire the mode entirely, effective 2/22, and they have determined that they're going to reward anyone who really stuck with that mode. So anyone who has 100 confirmed real player wins, they will get an exclusive summoner icon. And then going forward, all future unique modes will be restricted to timed events. They're no longer going to be putting out permanent modes like that. So, just as a heads up for those of you who play League of Legends, it's extremely popular, obviously, but hey. Next up, Ark Survival Evolved. I really should go back and play this game again. It's been a while. There have been a lot of improvements and enhancements, and as we spoke about last year, the bug hunting that they went through, and the fact that they actually promised financial rewards to anyone who found these game-breaking bugs. This is a game company that really knows how to do video games. Mm-hmm. And most recently they have really upped the action aspect of the game by adding grappling hooks.
Oh, yes.
You are able to grapple onto dinos, including the flying variety. But the perhaps less favored thing that they've added is the BattleEye anti-cheat system, which we've seen previously in games like Arma and DayZ. The chief problem here is that while there have been things like false positives and stuff like that, Mac and Linux don't support BattleEye. And so the people who play Arc on Macs and Linux systems are no longer able to connect to the BattleEye enabled servers.
Oh, man.
So they're hoping to have that fixed in the coming days. But currently, unfortunately, Mac and Linux, you guys are relegated to the back seat as per usual. We of the PC Master Race salute you, and we hope to help, welcome you back into our embrace in future. But yeah, that's where we are with Arc. Next up, Foof.
Yes, Star Citizen.
Speaking about disasters.
Gosh. It's not a disaster yet. It hasn't managed to go down in flames.
But people keep setting light to it. That's the problem.
You have 1 day left if you want to get in on their free. Play the game free before tomorrow, or possibly last week. I don't know. It was last week. Anyway, at some point, they're going to split the Star Citizen game into 2 independent games, one of which is the same thing we've been playing, or not playing, in my case, because I got tired of waiting. Not that it's, I have friends who play this game. They say it's good. They say it's not done yet because it's an MMO and it's only 3 years into development. Sure. In any case, it's splitting into 2 games. The second one is a single-player campaign called Squadron 42, which has lots of actors associated with it, including, let me check here quickly. I was actually looking at it and I flipped away. So actors, it has a big old list of names. Gary Oldman is playing Admiral Ernst Bishop. Mark Hamill is playing Steve Old Man Colton. And that is the oldest looking Mark Hamill picture I have ever seen in my life. It looks like he's 20 years older.
Older than his appearance in the Star Wars show?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes, actually, he looks older than Han Solo.
Oh,
my God.
Jeez.
In this picture. So they have a group of people: Mark Strong, Sophie Wu, Sandy Gardner, Gillian Anderson, Craig Fairbrass, Liam Cunningham, Bill Mendelsohn, Ian Duncan, Jack Houston, John Rhys Davies, who's in everything, Rona Mitra,
He is in
Andy
everything.
Serkis, who's also in everything.
Well,
Gemma
John Rhys
Whalen,
Davies makes everything better.
and Harry Treadaway are all of these people who are in this single-user game. So this is a cinematic single-player adventure set in the Star Citizen universe. Basically, if you already are an owner of the game because of having pledged, you own this, which is good because I would have been annoyed if they split it off and I didn't get it, considering how much I pumped into their silly game. But they are in Alpha 2.1 on their regular game. So it's beginning to look like they're doing the MMO thing of actually coming out after delays.
I'm still shocked that this game has a freaking con already.
Well, it's actually...
That's definitely much ado about nothing there.
It's actually suffered a great deal from lack of focus, I think.
Yeah, I can see that. I think they would have been better served to have come out with the single-player game first and been done with it. But that
wasn't what he was aiming at. He was aiming at an MMO.
Yeah.
All right, your turn.
My turn. Speaking of games that have been split, H1Z1, or as I like to refer to it as HisE, this game is also being split in half. There will be 2 versions. One is called Just Survive, which will be the sandbox survival game that everyone is currently familiar with. And the other will be King of the Hill, which will be the man versus man battle royale style. So that's going to be primarily the PvP aspect. Neither of these games will be free to play going forward. Whereas H1Z1 was intended to be free for play, not so when they had to split the game in half. They determined that as they were building the game and working with the community, that there were literally two distinct focuses, and that the game would be best served by splitting the team and making two dedicated development teams for the game. There's still currently no plans for any microtransactions, and early access players who supported H1Z1 prior to the split on 2.16 will receive both games, but thereafter each one will be $19.99 each. So just as a heads up, this also is getting split in half. So next up.
So Valiant Online is in pre-alpha. Valiant Online is one of several. Once upon a time, there was a game called City of Heroes.
Oh, my heart.
And when City of Heroes was closed by its cruel Korean overlords, basically did not understand or weren't willing to come out of their culture to understand the people they were actually primarily selling to. It ended up that City of Heroes closed. Now, 3 different things came out of this that were fairly viable. One of them was the Titan Network, which has basically taken the existing City of Heroes, I guess you can call it materials, and wrapped it around an XML or XMS1 something chat server.
Yes.
So you can play. You can, if you have City of Heroes somewhere, you can use your existing installation, connect up to their server, and it will puppet your characters around on their chat server, and you can do a few things.
Yeah, a very limited, glorified chat, interface.
Exactly, very glorified chat server. So Valiant Online.
Well, don't forget, there's also
the Titan Networks Phoenix project.
Yeah, otherwise known as City of Titans,
which is not yet in a publicly playable state. But I guess they've had very limited interactions. It's just not at the same. It's not gotten as far as Valiant's. It's using the Unreal 13 or something.
Something like that.
Greatest Unreal. Valiant's on their other hand is Cry 3, Unity, and it's different. It has very much the same look as City of Heroes, partly because they deliberately chose the art style. Even the starting area in this alpha looks like a City of Heroes area. And that means there are actually even war walls, which are curve over at the top, so you don't think, oh, direct lift, actionable. But yeah, you're in a big enclosed walled area. Your starting enemies are guys in red leather jackets who look a lot like
who could they be?
Aliens. It's reminiscent, and the structures, the distances between things within incredible long distance running, or jogging. You jog all over the place. So it's at that stage. It's at the stage where City of Heroes first started, when you were going, my God, it takes forever to get everywhere. And okay, I've run into a bad guy. Oh my God, he's the same level I am, and he's just hit me with one, two. Oh, I'm dead. Okay, so that's going on, but that's also because it's pre-alpha.
It's way before alpha. It's not even like part of the alphabet anymore.
It's
except the alphabet had a 0.
It's actually back in hieroglyphics.
There's
a little drawing of a bird.
That's pretty much it. Yes. So I'm interested in seeing how this develops. Right now, it looks freaking ugly, but then again,
go to valiance.shogn.net. Valiance is VALIANCE.shogn.net. And you can see the information on it and locate things and find out how to get it for free for the remainder of today. and it's not permanently for free either, by the way. But it's just, you can play it and see what you think.
The key thing is that I'm glad that there are multiple spiritual successors to City of Hero coming out. I mean, I yes, thank you, hi DCUO and hi Champions Online. Champions, I hate your guts, you know this. DCUO, I hate you less. But
DCUO started off very well, and then they did that stupid revision, and it ruined everything.
Well, the problem is that City of Heroes, when it first came out, and we're actually going to make probably a whole episode about City of Heroes and its spiritual successors sometime down the line. But the whole thing with City of Heroes is it came out to be a game that had a lore built around the game. It didn't come out to be lore that had a game shoved into it.
Yeah.
Whereas Champions and DCUO had lore, and then a game was shoved into it.
Realize, of course, also that Champions was Marvel Universe before Marvel
decided to pull out.
Right, and not only that, but Champions was ironically built by the original team who built City of Heroes.
Yes.
Sure. Not even ironically, they did it on purpose.
They did it on purpose, and thank God they got rid of that team, because City of Heroes improved remarkably when the original team left. I'm going to be honest.
They actually, the thing that improved it best and improved Champions Online as well was them getting out the straitjacket and grabbing Jack and tying him up and hauling him off into his closet again.
Well, I think the problem with Jack was that he was so focused on statesmen, and I think he was trying to.
He was focused on anything that made the game look like the way his vision.
Yeah,
his vision was basically unplayable garbage.
Right.
And speaking of unplayable garbage, we can segue into our next...
Going ahead now? Okay.
Yes. Actually, it's not exactly unplayable garbage. You will... Drew actually thought I was going to refer to Project Phoenix, City of Titans, but no, actually, we're going to be talking about Project Phoenix, which was if you remember, way back when, it was basically an idea for a Kickstarter project that would include some of the top designers and developers from the West and Japan and merge them together for a JRPG with squad-based tactics. What could go wrong? They had Hirokai Yura of Diablo 3 fame, and you had Nobuo Uematsu, the composer, on board, and a whole bunch of a shit ton of names. Well, it's had problems. They were able to raise $1 million, which, honestly, for a massive JRPG development, is really not as much as they probably should have gone for. But they've had delays. They have not had programmers on board for a good chunk of this project, and to the point that you've had scores and scores of players demanding refunds. It has looked for a while that this project might actually go the way that I don't want to be Star Citizen has had more of a head start than this project has.
Star Citizen actually has.
They have, and well, in the latest update, they have now told us that they have a new programmer. They haven't actually announced what they're going to pay the programmer, but the developer says that they will be paying him out of pocket. So this could be good, or this could be disastrously horrible for this project. But there's still people who are there's still people who are clamoring for refunds, and they have updated their sections of milestones. And
for those who don't notice what happens usually when they add a new programmer, that means they start over.
Whenever you add a person to a project, you add 2 months to its schedule because they have to communicate.
Unless it's the programmer, in which case you start over because the programmer wants their own
Well, if
page.
they fire the old programmer, yeah.
Yeah, just like Hero U had to do it when they started with one programmer and an engine, and then they changed engines and they had to get a new programmer, so start over. However, unlike Project Phoenix, Hero U has actually kept its backers up to date and very transparently so.
And have made progress.
And they have made progress, and we have actually had 2 playable demos. This game, not so much. So right now, the future is very uncertain. We don't know what's in the cards for our little phoenix, whether it'll just turn into ashes or it will rise from them. Because I had to use that, I had to use that figurative language somewhere.
Yeah, well, there's always the worm stage in the middle.
We're only on Steel Phoenix TV, so hey.
So we also have the next bit is actually a very hopeful Kickstarter. This game is called Kim, and I have to say it's the way it looks, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's basically a top-down open-world RPG based on the Indian stories of Rudyard Kipling. So the setting is entirely in India, and it touches upon a lot of the stories that the writer, those people some people out there, he wrote books. You never know.
Books? What are those?
What are those things? I like the data stuff. I put it on my Kindle.
That's an audiobook for the deaf.
That's another, yeah. But in any case, this Kickstarter has raised $7,093. They have 70 hours to go, and their goal is $7,471. So they're very close to raising. They're raising their goal, like $300 away from it, and it looks absolutely fascinating. I do suggest that you go and take a look and give them a little bit of love, because to be honest, and one of the reasons I don't play Dragon Age Inquisition, for example, even though I have it sitting on my hard drive, is that I'm honestly burned out of the high fantasy setting. Every single RPG that comes out is a fantasy setting for this or that. There's gnomes and orcs and all that shit. Seeing something like this or a science fiction RPG, they're so rare, few and far between, unless it's Star Wars, which isn't really science fiction. It's just wizards with lightsabers.
Well, and again, a lot of the features lately, if for those who read up on independent game developers, there's been a lot of focus on South African and West African developers who have been working to basically bring back the mythology of the continent to prominence, and I applaud that wholeheartedly. In fact, we probably almost make a roundtable out of that discussion, because as I'm a little burned out on high fantasy itself, because it's Europe and Europe and Europe and over again in Europe and still Europe and more Europe. And
elves are tiresome, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I mean there's more cultures that are worth exploring, and kudos to those companies who are making a concerted effort to bring back these long forgotten cultures and bring them to prominence and bring them into these this media that is so youth oriented, and I wholeheartedly encourage that, and I can't wait to see what comes out of that. So
yeah, so good luck to you, Kim, and I will be throwing my money at you because you deserve it. Go take a look, guys. It's really something.
And speaking of print,
yes, speaking of print, you guys remember Xena way back in the day? Well,
when she wasn't print.
When she what? No. Wait, are we moving on to Xena, right?
Yes, we're on Xena. When she was, you say, remember her back in the day when she wasn't print. Yeah. She was TV.
Well, I'm sure a lot of boys had print copies of her posters somewhere. Not me, but because but. So in any case,
baby Gabrielle.
On to the story now.
In any case, we remember Xena fondly and lovingly for the campy, fun, dramatic, over-the-top romp that it was. It wasn't a bad show, and it was a show that reveled in its cheesiness and just served it up to you in a gigantic cheese fondue. Well, Genevieve Valentine, who the name should be very familiar to you if you've been reading Catwoman, and she was actually the person who rescued Catwoman from the horrible claws of Ann Nocenti. She will be writing a Xena miniseries, which is basically takes place, if you've watched Xena, it takes place right after the Twilight of the Gods, which is basically when the Xeris decided to kill off every single Greek god in existence, and the world is thrown into chaos. Genevieve Valentine is going to be exploring that particular section, because Xena and Gabrielle get tossed 25 years in the future to the year AD. So I don't know when Xena takes place exactly.
Neither do they.
Although, yeah, neither do they, because Amphipolis was still standing, so who knows?
They started 3,000 years earlier than they ended up.
I know. That's pretty much. And the artist is Ariel Mendel from Dynamite Publishing, if I believe, and the art looks absolutely beautiful. And the artist does a wonderful, wonderful work of capturing the likeness of the characters. If you love Xena, give this a look. It will be coming out later this year, and you will be actually seeing a lot of familiar faces if you were a Xena follower back in the day.
A Xenophile?
Xena. God damn it. God damn it.
Next.
Next, all I have to say is that the all-new XMen, this book is actually pretty interesting. I have to say this. Ever since the big reboot for DC, the teenage titles that they have tried to pull out, being, the Teen Titans, have failed horribly because they don't feel like teenage titles. And Marvel somehow is managing to churn out consistently good teenage protagonist-centered titles. They started with Kieran Gillen and McKelvey's Young Avengers, which was fantastic. And then you had one of the most popular characters that Marvel has now, Kamala Khan, the new Miss Marvel, and now all new X-Men is actually turning into the book that the Teen Titans should have been. It's
weird because it's not all new X-Men; it's the original X-Men, just sort of.
Well, a couple new ones are in there.
The time-traveling teenager, all-new, original X-Men. That's the way, I guess, it should be.
Well, there are a couple new ones in there.
Well, they're the ones who, like...
Kid Apocalypse, the new Wolverine, and EDA.
Yeah.
Kid Apocalypse is about the most horrible concept I've ever seen out of Marvel. It's just my opinion.
Well, the book is fun. It also deals with teenage angst, which is always entertaining for people who are no longer teenagers, and they look at it and go, ha, that used to be me. Ha! Not in a mean way, but we used to be incredibly overdramatic people when we were teenagers. Some of us just turned it into our professions.
Well, you've got all sorts of things from exploring teen relationships to homosexuality to Cyclops coming out of the shadow of his older self, which is, I suppose, is kind of a way coming out of your parents as a shadow. It's all sorts of bizarre crap that they're exploring in that weird
and it's
comic
also,
book
how do I grow up not to be that asshole?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, don't mess with redheads. That's how you do it. Just stay away from Jean.
Especially from Jean.
It was a horrible human being.
Jean has messed up every member of that team.
She goes into your mind and she extracts the gay out of you.
Yeah, she yanks at people out of the closet. She messes with their relationships.
Jean Grey is kind of a horrible person. And
I'm waiting till they give Pickles an intervention.
You know why? You know why she didn't do this before?
Why?
The professor said, "No, Jean, bad.
Bad.
Respect people," and she doesn't have that now.
Well, honestly, considering how later writers turned Professor Xavier from this peaceful visionary to this manipulative son of a bitch, that kind of doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. Well, also considering it at the time he would do things like brainwash entire towns.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, also keep in mind that Jean really didn't have her telepathic powers originally. She was primarily telekinetic.
Yeah.
And turned off because she was getting into people's heads and trying to screw them out of their proper growth time.
Yeah, and I think really at this point, I do believe Emma Frost really needs to take her aside a little bit more forcefully and say, "Girlie, you and me are going to have a chat."
Girl, I've seen your future. It ain't pretty.
Keep those boys in the closet. Let them do it on their own.
Now, although I am having fun with out of the closet Bobby trying to flirt with boys and being just as bad as he was with girls.
Sometimes worse.
Yeah, he really needs to just be a priest.
No, please, because we see what they've done to Nightcrawler. Leave him be.
Yeah, well,
yeah. See, that's the other thing. They should bring back younger Nightcrawler.
They should, because
right
now
he was a different team.
The new one is the new Nightcrawler. I really don't know what they're doing. They haven't one of the best characters in the X.
They took angst and shoved it up his ass. That's what they did.
And now he's lost his
angst, not because of his skin.
Yeah. He has no soul and he's lost his mind and only speaks in Bible verses. Quoi? Quoi? Je vous demande quoi? Pourquoi?
Shall we move on?
Because they're stupid.
All right.
Somebody thought it would be a cute trick.
It was horrible. It's horrible. It needs to die. They need to stop it.
Yes.
The
So it's still fun with the new kids.
Moving on.
The new old kids on the block.
Yeah. Yeah. They need to turn 98 degrees to the left. So, anyways. For those who remember last year, I think it was last year, I first mentioned Harry Potter and the Cursed Child Parts 1 and 2. This is a play that will be coming to London's West End in July of this year. For those who are, heartbroken over the fact that they don't live in London and can't go see J.K. Rowling's latest addition to the Harry Potter franchise, don't worry, there will be a book. The book will, in fact, comprise both parts 1 and 2 of the play. It, as I said before, picks up basically 19 years after the Deathly Hallows, when Harry is now a father of 3, an employee of the Ministry of Magic, and living a mundane and overworked life.
Magic.
God knows that if I was being hunted for my entire school career, I would welcome a mundane and overworked life. But so they're supposed to overcome a new darkness to the wizarding world. So keep your
Selfie
eyes open.
sticks.
Keep your eyes open for that. J.K. Rowling just can't keep her hands out of her own books. So
well, it's the money bin for her.
Realize she did a couple of adult books that weren't that good.
Yeah. So it's good to know your strengths.
Okay,
Also,
like I said, if I ever get a book published and it keeps going in a series, I will be the freaking Wheel of Time.
No, I will end you before you reach number 4.
Before I hit number 4, God, I've got stories already going to number 9.
I will personally come to your place and end you.
Is that how I get you to get over here? Okay. Moving on.
Moving on.
The art, the graphic that I nearly killed Mouse over.
Oh, wait, I have to see this. Come on, it's not refreshing. Oh, well, I'll see it later. So we have Sylvia Taylor, or Sylv Taylor, I believe. She is the wife of the creator of The Voice in the Dark, Laramie. Is that how you say his name, Laramie?
I believe it's Laramie.
Laramie Taylor. She needs to raise money to pay for her chemotherapy. And there is currently an online comics art auction that helps to do just that. As of current, they have managed to raise $19,136. And the art in the auction comprises of original sketches by Taylor himself, but also drawings by Darwin Cook, Howard Chaykin, Terry Moore, Jamie Robinson, Jim Bradstreet, Andrew C. Robinson, and Tommy Castillo. Go and check it out. It's at comicsheatingup.net. You can see the auction via eBay. A little bit of information about Laramie Taylor. Laramie Taylor was born with a condition called, oh God, I hope I don't mess this up, but arthrogryposis. Is that his?
Sounds right.
Okay, so he writes and draws all of his comics with his mouth using a Wacom tablet. His wife is also legally blind, and she collaborated with her husband with A Voice in the Dark as a color. Sorry. And so go check out their stuff. They're incredibly talented people, and they have managed to conquer a shit ton of adversity. Go take a look at the auction. The auction is pretty damn awesome. So go buy some art and help some artists who really need it.
And that ends our public broadcasting, our public service announcement of the day. Next up. Mouse Flash.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Give me 1 second, because I am having something really bad happening right
Well, while he does that, let me explain why I threatened to kill Mouse. Because Mouse likes to come up with these obscure topics about, museum openings. And
It's journalism!
I don't say there's anything wrong with that. The problem is that he gives me topics that don't readily have graphics available for them, and so I have to make them up. And as a result, because this particular topic had sidewards, weird-angled, badly lit photographs of this artwork, I had to spend nearly an hour trying to clean up just one of them and getting the others to line up to where they actually looked like normal comic books. And they're all still off color and everything, but I finally hit a point where I said, you know what? I'm done. I have to finish this graphic. So, yeah.
All right. I had Windows deciding to melt down again, and that would have been really bad. But in any case, if you were watching The Flash, welcome to Earth 2 on February 9th. That show enjoyed the best demo numbers since the 2014 Flash Arrow crossover. The episode drew in 3.97 million viewers total at a 1.66 rating, which puts the show up more than 8% from last week. This was actually the foray of the show into Earth 2. We have seen Earth 2 appear before in the show with brief glimpses, but this actually went and fleshed it out, and people really liked it.
Didn't it have flashbacks from other series?
Flashbacks, yes.
Flashbacks. I haven't watched the show. I'm sorry. I'm waiting for a marathon point where I will sit down and watch it. Same with Arrow.
No, you need to go and watch this like this weekend, because soon Warner Brothers is going to be taking it off Netflix, and they're going to force you to sign up to their shitty online service.
No, I have this wonderful thing called a DVD player.
You fucker.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
So
that's witchcraft.
There's more Flash news, and Foof, you take this one.
So Flash, because Grant Gustin doesn't have enough to do, is also crossing over with Supergirl.
Well, he is the fastest man alive.
I believe in March. I have to find my thing where I had that open.
But this was something that fans of both shows had been begging for forever, and CW had said, "Oh no, there's never going to be a crossover ever, ever, ever."
Well, CW can say that, but CBS owns them, and CBS has Supergirl, so...
So, since CBS owns them, so it says here, ahead of The Flash's appearance in Supergirl, Grant Gustin, Barry Allen, The Flash, has shared a photo alongside Melissa Benoist, Kara Danvers / Supergirl, from the set of the upcoming crossover.
So who's going to be watching that?
There is a picture of them together on IGN. If you have any search foo, you should go look. Otherwise, there may or may not be links provided by this show. I don't remember. So they're basically gonna tease it on The Flash, and then it'll air on Monday, March 28th.
Oh, the day after my birthday.
There you go, kids. Watch it for Mouse's birthday.
And send me gifts.
Yes. Or at least comment.
We're not going to tell you where he is, but you can just send gifts.
You can send me gifts. Just leave them on their bridge, and I'll come and get them.
Any bridge. You'll visit them all.
I'll visit every single bridge.
Okay, next
That's my power.
Beware of sounding too trollish there, Mouse.
Yeah.
Too late.
So, sad news for Agent Carter, which is a show that has recently hit its stride and has gotten pretty good. But Haley Atwell has been cast on an ABC pilot. And, of course, this does not bode well because, she is the main protagonist of Agent Carter. There is talk that Agent Carter may not be renewed for a new season after this one, and that it is probably going away. Haley is going to be playing the daughter of a former president in this new show called Conviction. And she's blackmailed into taking a job as the head of Los Angeles' newly created Conviction Integrity Unit, CIU or whatever. I don't get these acronyms. But they basically work together with legal experts to examine cases where there's suspicion that the wrong person was accused of the crime. It sounds incredibly riveting.
All right, moving along because we are rapidly running out of time.
Yeah.
Next.
Is that me? Yes.
Still you. You
Okay,
gave us
so
a lot of topics.
a lot of topics. Okay, well, this one is pretty short. We have news that Mark Hamill, who said he would never reprise the role of the Joker again, is going to indeed reprise the role of the Joker again for a new animated Justice League series for DC, which DC Comics announced about 5 days ago. It's going to be just a 15-minute action series from Warner Brothers that's going to air on Cartoon Network because that has done so well recently. And we're seeing the return of Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman, way back from Batman the Animated Series in 1992. And
he's been playing Batman in the recent movies, too.
No, I know, but I'm talking about, when we first saw him as Batman. And then he moved on to the Justice League animated shows as Batman. We'll have other DC voice actors coming back, but we haven't heard much about this except that it's going to be action-oriented. So we'll see.
The sad thing is that I've seen the artwork with the promo artwork, and it looks like
something. Yeah, it looks like something someone slapped off from DeviantArt.
Yeah, it looks like Justice League had a strange fan art baby with Teen Titans Go. It's just weird.
It does not bode well.
So yeah, I think I can only swallow it in 15-minute thresholds, anyways. So
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
okay.
I don't have a graphic for this next part, so I'm going to just say it quick for those who didn't see the Super Bowl. Go to YouTube because they have whole new trailers for Civil War, Independence Day, X-Men Apocalypse, and Batman v Superman that are they actually have 2 for Batman v Superman.
We actually heard Wonder Woman speak this time. She said 3 words or 5 words.
Isn't that amazing? They have whole new trailers up for those, so go watch them. I'm not gonna bother spoiling them here, but they're on YouTube, so go see them. Next up, things I wish could be spoiled: Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh God, why?
Sony has announced that there will be a
live action.
Brace for it, live action movie.
because that worked so well with Garfield.
Not only did it work so well with Garfield, but it worked so well when Sonic had to kiss a human princess. So yeah, there's a good image. There's a good
They need to get Bill Murray to be the voice of Sonic.
This is supposedly coming out sometime in 2018. They don't know if this is going alongside or if it's replacing the animated movie that they were planning that they announced back in 2014, but who knows? Keep your eyes open or shut, as they should be.
This is really the sign of the apocalypse, right?
Yeah, this is definitely one of the signs of the apocalypse.
No. This is just one further step into Sega's slow descent into absolute irrelevance. Every single good game they've managed to somehow fuck it up with a stupid sequel, and they keep reinventing the wheel between each game. And you had the most recent one, which one was the Rise of Lyric, where all the characters had like bandages around their shoes and heads and hands, and they were like edgy. This is just at this point, I think they throw ideas into a hat, and they dig out the one that's sticking to the bottom, and it's covered in goo and someone's saliva and probably something else, and they just read it out and go, "This is perfect! Let's take it to development."
Maybe they'll make this one so edgy that Sonic will have some sort of horrible accident after he runs into a chaos ring at 7,000 miles an hour, and he has to have facial surgery and comes out looking human. Who knows? Anyways.
It has to have Nicolas Cage's face.
Oh, God.
or what's his name? Vinny.
Anyways, moving on to things that I want to see as opposed to things I'd rather not think about. Battlestar Galactica is coming to movies. Huzzah!
Okay.
So basically, Michael DeLuca, Scott Stuber, and Dylan Clark are currently planning the first of a planned massive event franchise for Universal. So Battlestar Galactica, I don't believe they have a date yet for it or details about whether it will be related to the recent reboot. I'm hoping it is. But keep your eyes open for that. Battlestar Galactica was universally loved. At least the reboot was, and critically acclaimed, and perhaps one of the best reboots a series has ever seen. So heads up on that. Next up,
and one of the most puzzling endings. Anyways, go on.
At least it had an ending.
And I know.
Next up, boom.
Next up, yes. So in the world of merchandising, Star Wars exists because of the world of merchandising. So first off, Star Wars Episode 8 is beginning filming. And episode 9 is now in production. That means that episode 7 was a success.
For those who didn't know.
For those who didn't know that, they broken what, 2.9 billion now?
Something obscene like that.
At least 40 records.
And sadly, Drew does not have the image of the next thing that I'm going to talk about, which is the...
no.
Target had to apologize in public, once again, for not quite vetting their toy line well enough, because Target came out with...
These toys were meant to teach you how to feel the force within.
Feel the force without.
These were not actually that.
Or feel the force up.
They created a number of characters in their pool toys. And as we all know, pool toys come on long sticks.
Mm.
And they have a nozzle on the end, apparently. So but then they have a helmet to go on the nozzle. And so you have the
long
pool toys.
We can say it looks like a penis.
And there's the helmet, and then there's the long
I'm not
part.
going to show it to you, but I'll say it.
And
it's on IGN too, if you want to really look it up. Target, sorry for phallic Star Wars toys. They actually they have basically a couple of stormtrooper looking guys. They have a Kylo Ren figure. And they have the General Phasma.
I'm not going to say it. I'm just not going to say it.
And they all have very, very Darth helmets.
Very Darth helmets.
Here's the thing. This is the dumbest toy design I have ever seen since the masturbating Tarzan. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it up. The masturbating Tarzan. That was a thing.
It's right up there.
Not now. After the show.
After the show, look up the masturbating Tarzan. This is not the first time that Disney's toy line has had some suspicious shit in it.
Oh, I suspect that people purposefully put that in there just to...
I have the feeling that the people who were working on this had been told you're fired just before you're fired, but you have to
finish this before you go.
I'm fired. Here you go. Here's some stormtrooper dick, you assholes.
So basically, we have some cylindrical objects with rounded bulbous heads.
Fun for the whole family.
Sure.
Usable in and out of the pool.
Moving on. Speaking of
phalluses and
phallic and so forth. Yes.
Yes. Deadpool. I saw it yesterday. Loved it. I think Deadpool will single-handedly save the mutant as a franchise. But even for those who have not seen it, and I totally agree with Betty White.
What, that he looks sexy in his red leather suit?
Well,
or that she gave it 4 Golden Girls.
I'd give it 5 Golden Girls if there was a 5th one to give.
But there was. It was called Coco. Look it up. It's in the episode.
I know Coco was the chef.
He was a gay cook. He could be a Golden Girl.
And that just proves I watched the series premiere, the pilot, shall we say? But for those who wonder why I even bothered putting this in this graphic here, is because before the movie was even out, it's been greenlit for a sequel. So yeah, they're already working on the script for Deadpool 2.
So I guess we have finally found the thing at which Fox does not suck at.
I'm not even going to connect that to the phallic toys. Moving on. Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Ooga chaka, baby.
Just as a heads up, Thanos will not appear in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
They're saving him for Infinity Wars, aren't they?
No, apparently we don't know where he's going to show up. He could show up anywhere, but they basically
in your pool.
Actually,
I hope he's not in my pool.
I think Thanos was busy doing the villain for DC for the Batman versus Superman universe.
Yeah, I don't want to go into the whole dark side thing again. So yeah, he's not going to be the villain in Guardians 2. We do know that they are getting a new cast member who is playing a new member of the Guardians. They say that they refer to her as she is one of the most awesome and easiest person that they had ever worked with.
Oh God, I hope it's Phyla Vel.
Who do you think it is?
It's got to be Kitty Pryde.
You think? No.
I don't think it'll be Kitty because that would require getting the license from Fox.
Yeah, what about Phyla though?
I don't think it will be Phyla because that confuses the Captain Marvel issue. Although unless they're giving her Nova, or rather not Nova, Quasar. Sorry, Quasar. I suspect it might be Mantis or Moondragon.
Moondragon would be awesome.
I don't know. Moondragon would be a reiteration of Nasty Little Sister.
But the problem is that
That's
the
true.
person we all know it could be is Angela.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to see them with the CGI ribbons. That's just. But anyways. Yeah. Okay. So we have roundtable topics that we need to get into, and we're already at the end of our hour. So let's get into them quickly. First roundtable topic. Amazon recently announced the release of a new game design software called Lumberyard. Mouse, you want to tell us a little bit about it? Or did I catch you off guard?
You did catch me off guard because Edge is freezing on me.
Damn you, Edge.
I know. Go ahead and lead off.
I didn't read up on it because I was busy working on graphics.
This is live theater, people.
Yep, welcome to our show.
Move it so I can get... Okay. So they have launched their own free engine based on Crytek's CryEngine. And it's a little bit upgraded a little bit to focus on online games.
With Twitch interactivity.
With Twitch interactivity. An awful name, Lumberyard. I'm sorry that I heard that. I thought, I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
That would have been if it was actually named Lumberjack, I think.
Well, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's Lumberyard, Woodshed, something like that.
It is tied into Amazon's server hosting services and, of course, Twitch, because Amazon bought Twitch for, what is it, like $900 million?
It's a crap ton of money, and Twitch
it's a
is
shit
all the
ton
happier for it. So.
Yeah. So it's, like I said, it's an offshoot of CryEngine, and it's going in its own direction with its own tools and technology, including netcode from Killer Instinct developers. What were they called? Double Helix Games, right? So you don't have to use Lumberyard, but you will be locked into using the Amazon Web Services for your online stuff. So it's really kind of focused for the online game aspect of tied into Amazon. So whatever.
So Amazon is trying to take over the world of online gaming.
Well, I mean,
not take it over.
It's the latest edition. I mean, again, as I've said with other things, I'm glad that there is again more competition in the pre-built game thing. You know, it helps. It helps. The game engine. It helps give opportunity to people who don't necessarily have $1 million to invest in a game studio to go out there and actually
create their own engine from the scratch.
But between it and Unreal and CryEngine and RPG Maker, I am fearing the glut of crap.
Don't forget Unity.
And Unity. And, the freaking Unity asset store. I mean, Jim Sterling, thank God for Jim.
Thank God for Jim.
We must say this almost every week. As he has pointed out, there has been an ass ton of Unity cut and paste crap that's out there. We all have seen the RPG Maker glut that has hit Steam. There is just, there are those who do There are those that do have good stories and innovative ideas, but there's also those who just put out shit.
Crap. Yes. Well, here's the thing. You're looking at the problem, and you're ascribing it to the wrong source. Yeah, there's people making shit, and then there's people trying to sell shit off as the real thing. But the problem here is that you have Steam basically opening the floodgates for every
It's
Tim,
the
Doc, and
vetting
Harry.
process, yes.
It's the vetting process. Steam used to have a vetting process and a quality assurance process, of which we know very little because it was very, very closed doors, tight, and you were not really allowed to discuss it way back when. And then they decided to do the green light thing, and now every Tim, Doc, and Harry, Tim, Dick, and Harry, whatever, Peter, Paul, and Mary,
every Tim Dog.
Every Peter, Paul, and Mary can put their games up there, and unless you have like an ass ton of people pointing out that, oh, this guy's a scammer, he's using pre-made assets, it'll just continue in the river of shit out of which you have to fish out the good pearls. But you have other services like goodoldgames.com where they will allow early access games, but only from developers that they know they can stand behind.
So basically what you're saying here is that we have the game version of Android and Apple apps.
Yes, exactly. Pretty goddamn much.
It's the same thing. It will shake out the same way. And the thing that's interesting to me about this is that Amazon with Lumberyard is adding competition to Steam, which will mean that Steam will have to find a way to differentiate. And
that they'll have to step up their game as far as exactly what the hell they're letting into there. Right now, Steam is kind of like the people of Walmart, where you have no fucking clue what you're going to find when you start scrolling down that list. Just like, when you turn into any random aisle at Walmart, you can find a woman dressed in a squirrel suit and a tutu, like eating a 40-day-old bagel, just staring at you and telling you that you're the Christ. I go to the best Walmarts. Those are the best.
So on the other hand, the other thing this is doing is creating yet another alternative to the Xbox model, where you have to invest several $1 million and then give it to Microsoft.
Yeah, pretty much.
So like I said, I'm glad for the increased competition. I like that they're out there. It keeps the actual game developers or the game engine developers innovating. Even if the people who use said game engine things are not necessarily innovating. I agree. No, Mouse is right. I believe the vetting process for what gets sold could stand some improvement, but anything that is going to increase the competition should hopefully increase the entire ladder, shall we say, the entire verticality of said industry. So
competition's going to keep you. It's going to force to keep you honest because at some point it's going to look like Steam is just willingly letting its user base get ripped off.
It's going to look like Steam basically opened the diarrhea gates, and there we
exactly.
go.
So there's going to be an interesting tangent some years down the line where Steam is going to make the decision of, are we going to invest in the manpower we let go so we can actually have a curated Steam store, or do we just let it be and hope we don't drown?
There's something else going on here, though. This is a side effect of two things: is democratization of creativity, and this is showing in books where publishers are screaming bloody hell because they no longer have a monopoly.
Yeah, how dare people publish their own books? God damn it!
On Amazon,
vanity publishing has become the in thing now. It used to be pariah if you.
That's true. It used to be that if you vanity publish, people go, well, you're not really an author because you couldn't.
That used to be because vanity publishing was vanity publishing.
Exactly.
Yes. Now it's a different. It's a different kind of vanity.
I still call it vanity publishing.
Now it's self-publishing, which is different from vanity publishing. It's not, oh, good old grandma publishing her corny book of poems for a limited run of 5 for the rest of the family.
Well, it's also become much more financially reasonable to do it. I mean, vanity publishing used to be, several hundreds, not hundreds, but like $20,000 out of your own pocket, and you had to go sell the books. Now, like Amazon, who has a publishing on demand kind of a thing, where you actually have your own your own codes, your Library of Congress code. You have all this, and it's really almost no money out of your pocket whatsoever. So
No, that's not true, and I will get into that some other time.
Which, yes, we should probably talk about self-publishing in that world in probably one of the next roundtables, because I do listen to a lot of there's a podcast called Throwing the Gun that is run entirely by people who make their living out of writing superhero fiction, and many of them have web serials where they basically publish chapters monthly or weekly, and then they collect it into a book and sell it off into Amazon, usually in electronic format. But there's different aspects to that that are not entirely. They're not entirely parallel to game development. I do think that this is going to do good towards getting Steam to get its head out of its ass, because even though Gabe Newell does seem to be resting on his laurels, he's not an idiot, unlike some of the people at Microsoft. So I do hope that he smells the coffee and takes a look at the changing landscape of game development. Steam was on top of the online distribution wave. Now we have an incoming indie wave that's starting to make strides, and of course you have projects that fall by the wayside, like and Project Phoenix, but the indie industry. And we'll talk about that one next week, because this one I have just received a dump of information on that one that's just way too juicy to.
So we're not including that in our roundtable today.
No, I think
this is for next week.
That's a teaser for next week. Beast's Fury. There's some juicy shit going down.
That sounds really, really bad.
Then the
only God, phrasing.
The only thing I have left to say about this particular topic is then, there's been a hand-built Unreal Engine editor for VR.
Yeah.
So there. Looks like, what was it? You said it was chunky Minecrafty?
Chunky Minecrafty.
Anyways, are we done with this particular topic, or do we have more?
I think so, and I think that the walkaway pill is that
juicy shit.
The juicy shit. The juicy shit that is going down is that this is good, and this is going to be an interesting time for the industry, and it might actually bring about what Anna Anthropy talks about. No, I have some issues with Anna Anthropy as an author, and I think that some of the things she says are a little bit not entirely grounded in reality, but she does have many good points, especially calling it the movement of video game zinesters. For those of you who are too old to remember what printed zines were, they were basically fandom-related magazines created by fans.
I think that you threw them with the word zine, because I would have called it a zine.
Well, some people called it zines. I have no idea why. But in any case, Anna Anthropy says that with the democratization of game development, with all of these wonderful engines that are coming out, like Adventure Games Studio and whatnot, we're going to be seeing a lot more of more personal and more artistic bent in games.
There
we go.
Look, we have a new kind of clothes. I hate it. It needs to be redone. But I didn't have a lot of time because I was putting together a certain art auction graphic.
Oh, blame it on me, bitch.
I get to blame it back on Mouse. So yes, follow us on Geekamole TV for those who are interested specifically in the show. Steel Phoenix TV if you're interested in the rest of it. Subscribe to YouTube, goddammit. We need more followers on YouTube. And you can follow on Twitch if you want. And we do have a Steam community if you want to, chat there.
Yes, do come and see us.
Come and see us and say hi. And that's pretty much it for this week's episode. We ran a little bit longer than planned, but Mouse's tablet didn't seem to have a heart attack.
No, it didn't, fortunately.
Yay!
Yay.
And thank you, Foo, for being our perennial guest host. We love it when you come out and join us.
Well, I'm not as pretty as Cece.
Variety is the spice of life.
Yes.
You need me to be here just so that she'll feel especially good when she comes back.
We'll get you a blonde wig that you can wear.
I do think
I have the face rig thing that looks like sort of like her. I can do that.
If worse comes to worse, I could always just pop a still photo of her.
And we'll just say, the audio. Oh, she's got a little frog in her throat.
Just a little bit. It's an operatic thing.
There's like fucking Kermit down her throat. if she were to sound like Foomp.
So, we'll be back next week. Are we pre-recording this week? I don't know. What are we doing?
I believe we are pre-recording next the final week of February.
Oh, are
because that's when we are going to study with the soprano from the Met.
Oh well, that will make that particular Saturday a lot easier for me because I had plans. So
good.
Yay!
So we'll be back next Saturday live then. So thanks everybody for coming out and say bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.